Well, we're here with FEMA Administrator Criswell. So glad to have her come down and visit our county and visit this area. We're at the Shannon Staub Library, which is our disaster recovery center. I'm looking at all of the resources that are assembled here, which makes it a great place for people to come, not only to apply for FEMA assistance, but also to see all the other resources that are available. And it's so meaningful to be able to sit across the table from someone and kind of share your story and get the help that you need. And so we're so thankful that she's here, eyes on. The response from FEMA has been outstanding. I was at some of our point of distribution centers that FEMA supplied, all the MREs, the ice, the water, the tarps. And I'll tell you, with the National Guard handing those out, it meant so much to our community immediately to get those stood up and all the work that was being done and FEMA helping with that. And then now to have FEMA, hands-on, all the people we've been working with here in the county have been so exceptional. They've been embedded with our EOCs. We're getting, the requests right to them directly, and then they're responding so quickly. So thank you for coming in person.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for all that FEMA is doing for our community.
Thank you, Ron. Good afternoon, everybody. Deanne Criswell, the FEMA Administrator, and I came back into Florida yesterday so I could assess some of the damage and just talk to people, right? It's really important for me to be able to see firsthand what the impacts are. I had an opportunity to travel with some of our disaster survivor assistance teams. These are teams of FEMA employees that go out into the neighborhoods, help them register if they haven't registered yet, or can look up their case and find out what the status is, what information might be needed, or just somebody to talk to. Today, I'm standing in front of one of our 14 disaster recovery centers. And so we have 14 facilities, as you just heard, where you can also go and talk to somebody face to face. But this is a really good example of the partnership, that this is a whole of community, whole of society approach to supporting the immediate stabilization needs, but starting this long-term recovery conversation. And you have state partners and you have federal partners. We have the Army Corps of Engineers here for the Blue Roof program, nonprofits and faith-based members that are here to support spiritual and mental health care. Really great spot that people can come and just get their questions answered. And the Small Business Administration, as I just saw many people in there, looking to talk to them. Again, one of the 14 that are out there, you can go to disasterassistance.gov or floridadisaster.org, and you can find out where there's other disaster recovery centers. We were on the ground since before the storm happened. We were able to start supporting the state's effort in search and rescue as soon as it was safe to do so, even before daybreak. We're going to continue to be on the ground to support individuals in their recovery efforts. In Sarasota County alone, we have over 40,000 families that have registered for assistance already. And so there's a lot of forms of assistance out there. One of those steps is to register with FEMA. One of those steps is to go to your insurance company. There are some insurance agents here. Some of the other disaster recovery centers have whole insurance villages, so you can try to get everything done in one stop. So happy to answer any other questions about some of the specifics that are going on, but just happy to be a partner with you here today.
Thank you for that.
Ms. Criswell, I'm curious what was sort of the overarching questions that you were getting from folks inside? What's one of the main takeaways that you got of people that are curious what they can get?
Yeah, I think it's mixed, right? And it depends on what the level of impact was. There's families that have literally lost everything and just trying to figure out where to even start. And then there's families that have had damage and they're ready to just get moving on with that, with starting their recovery process. And there's a lot of programs, right? There's FEMA assistance, there's insurance, there's the Small Business Administration. The state has an amazing amount of programs that are designed to help individuals as well. And so I think the biggest thing is we want, through a center like this, to help them navigate that, right? And know which resource is going to be the best resource for them to help with their unmet needs. And then connecting them with our faith-based partner and our non-governmental organizations to continue that. And so as far as the biggest thing that I've heard, it really is mixed depending on where they're at and how much damage that they experienced.
Do you feel like places like this help expedite that recovery process? Because I've talked with several families who say, the storm's one thing, but it's dealing with insurance companies and moving on to the next thing that becomes the real disaster for them. Do you think this really helps expedite the process for a lot of victims?
Well, we have to get it started, right? And so one of the fastest ways is to go on, for FEMA assistance and even insurance companies, is to go online and register for assistance, and that starts the process. But you do have to have insurance adjusters, our inspectors go out and look at the damage. Some of the things that we are doing though is we're using imagery, so we don't have to send a physical person out there to go actually look at the damage to a home. We're able to make a determination just from imagery. I think with a place like this, because there's so many questions that come up, right, and there's so many different pieces, what it does is it helps you navigate those, and it helps. So in that respect, I would say it does help expedite it, because you can talk to those people that are there to help you. But there's a lot of resources out there. Navigating that is what's so difficult.
It's got to be a mixed bag going into a place like this, because it's, you know, it's a beautiful facility. You're helping out a lot of people.
Yeah.
We also wish they weren't here, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the stories that I've heard have just been, you know, heartbreaking. The stories that I heard yesterday when I was walking around the Dunbar community and North Fort Myers, I mean, stories of resiliency and bravery as they were, you know, protecting their family from the raging waters that were coming in. And now stories of resiliency as they're trying to think about how they're going to rebuild. And so what always amazes me in events like this is how communities come together and how neighbors help neighbors. And they're really our first responders. You know, your neighbors are the ones that are helping you as soon as they can get out their doors to help. And that level of community engagement is always inspiring to me as I go out into events like this. And it's that level of community engagement that really gets everybody moving in the right direction.
Do you have any other questions?
Administrator, how does the recovery process this time around compare to maybe past storms you've seen before?
Yeah, the recovery process is always a complicated process, right? As I was mentioning, there's so many different resources that are available. And so what I would say on the response side of this, one of the things that we have done and improved on is making sure that we have resources in place to start that initial response as soon as it's safe, right? Pre-staging resources ahead of time. We had more search and rescue assets here than we have staged ahead of time. Than we have in any other disaster, so they could go out and start that life-saving mission right away. I think the other part is that stabilization, right? We've got to stabilize the incident so the recovery can start, and so having those resources in here to begin to start that stabilization process. Florida Power and Light, amazing, you know, their ability to turn the power back on right away. The amount of debris removal that I saw in Fort Myers Beach today, just being able to open the roads so people can get in. That kind of aggressive action from the state and the entities within the state really help expedite the recovery process so people can actually access their homes and start to make the decisions that they're going to need to make.
Any other questions over there?
For families who have lost everything, including internet and transportation, what advice do you have for them to try to get help as soon as they can?
Yeah, I think, again, everybody's situation is so specific and unique, and it's a center like this where they can talk to a variety of people. And I don't know, maybe if you want to talk a little bit more about what kind of services are here and what Sarasota County is doing.
About the fact that there are people who find it difficult to get out to a disaster recovery center. So plans are already in place to be able to go out to those areas and find out. We don't want to leave anybody behind. We want to make sure that everybody gets contacted and gets to the resources that they need. So not only do we have the disaster recovery centers, but there are going to be efforts made to get out there and make sure that people who can't get here get the help they need.
Ron, are you guys going to go door to door, community to community?
I think
How do you do that?
I think there will be door to door in some communities, and you know, I want to follow on to what the administrator was saying, is that the size and scope of this storm is so much more hard to get a hold of than other storms, and so it's going to take a little bit of time and effort. Obviously, what I've been impressed with is the spirit of our community. I mean, I was at a mobile home park where a group from Pennsylvania had come down a couple of days after and were feeding the whole area. They were charcoaling some hamburgers and feeding them lunch, and the people in line were smiling, were talking, and I was looking at their homes, which were totally destroyed. So that spirit, I mean, that's a part of our community spirit. So it is neighbor to neighbor. We've seen that. Not only that, it's nation to neighbor, because people from all over the country are doing everything they can to help us, and it means a lot to us. So all of these things, FEMA coming in and heading this up, and then just the collaboration between the state, the federal government, the local municipalities, the county governments, it's been a united effort, and I think we're all very, very proud of that, but we know we got a long way to go.
And I think just to add on just a little bit on that too, that's what our DSA teams, our disaster survivor assistance teams, are doing. We certainly can't hit every door in every community that's been impacted, but we're able to use technology now in a way that we haven't really used it as much in the past. And so we're looking at, we know where the path of the storm went. We know the areas that are the most impacted. We also know the areas that are the most vulnerable and underserved. And we're looking at that and laying over it where people have registered for assistance, but really where they haven't. And so when we can identify those pockets of neighborhoods where we think people should have registered but they haven't, then we can target our resources into those communities, go knocking door to door, and make sure that they're getting the assistance that they need.
Do you even use like the satellite, the overhead satellite imagery where you can see where all the damage is? If you're not seeing people registering from that area where you might go out and maybe look more proactive.
No, that's exactly what we're doing, right? So in the initial days, it was using imagery. We know where the damage is. We actually flew imagery flights before the storm to capture pre-storm imagery, and we were able to use that imagery post-storm to help us expedite getting money into the hands of people that have been impacted. And so we use that imagery in the very early days, but now that people are registering, we're adding on to that, right, of where now are people not registering that we think that they should.
Any more questions? All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.